Hello, I'm Jenny and welcome to my channel. So this is day 2 of complete sleep deprivation, so I'll probably be hallucinating by my next video. I meant to post a lot earlier today, but I locked myself out of my house in my pajamas, and not the fancy ones either. God's comedy channel, yeah, I tell you. But yeah, that actually is a really nice way to start with the message that I have for you today. So I have a message from a while back, and this is actually a message from Jesus. Oh God, I can't believe I'm about to actually say this. So I've held on to this one for a while because I'm not sure how people are going to take it, but I have to say it. So Jesus is somebody who, I mean, you might say is considered quite uncool to follow or to love. And I have a shirt actually that I bought, and it says I love Jesus. And I have to admit, I know that if I were to walk around wearing that, people would look at me like I was a mental person. And I mean, maybe I am, I don't know, but he's become very unpopular to love and to openly express your admiration for. He's not someone that if you ask most people, name 5 people from history that you would have over for a dinner party, he wouldn't be top of many people's lists, I don't think. And it's not that people don't generally know he was a great guy, even people who don't necessarily, know much about religion, they would generally know that, yes, he was known for saying, love thy neighbor as thyself. He was all about forgiveness. They know that, he went through what he went through and he did it with grace. And yes, he had moments of fear, but he pushed through it. He performed miracles. A lot of people believe that. But I mean, I don't think there'd be many people that would say, no, I think he was an asshole. Very few people would say anything like that. But still, it's like, it's not cool. Like, people kind of think he's not fun. And the thing is, his PR people have done a terrible job. They really have. It's bad PR, because I can tell you that I speak to him almost daily, and he makes me laugh so loud. He really does. LOL, out loud. He does it, all the time. He's extremely witty. Sometimes he's uncouth. Sometimes he's crass. Sometimes he's politically incorrect. He would never use a humor. I can't remember which comedian it was. Was it Ricky Gervais? Maybe a comedian that I love anyway. And I remember them saying that, the rule is that you just don't punch down, But you don't want to be watching your P's and Q's, And I was actually going to say something about that later as well, with the spiritual community, who end up becoming really like, it's like they do this to try and be free, to free themselves from the matrix or whatever, but then they're watching their P's and Q's so much that's a prison. That's a whole other prison as well. You do need to just let things flow sometimes. Obviously read the room. I did have it's just come into my head, I did have somebody who used to kind of like perpetually use my insecurities as joke fodder. And, I'd call him up on it, and he'd be like, it's a joke, you're too sensitive. And I'd be like, no, you're just too gaslighting. So yeah, read the room. Obviously, don't be insensitive about it, but it's okay sometimes to just make jokes. Again, I'm going to talk about intention, motivation again. It's, what is your intention behind it, But yes, he's very funny. He's really funny. And, he said to me, I sort of said to him, why do you speak to me in such a jovial way, And he said, well, and other people you speak to in such a serious way. And I'll tell you a story about that in a sec. But he said, I speak to people in a way that they're comfortable. But the thing is, people it's like they've become comfortable thinking of him as this kind of straighty 180, this really stiff sort of guy who's really, really good, but, potentially boring. He's not that at all. And I was going to, I've just written down here in writing, I can barely read. A little bit frazzled after this morning's events. But yeah, so there was one night I was talking to him, and, we were having a laugh, and then towards the end, I kind of said to him, look, I know you're always around me. I can always feel you around me. And I'm just wondering, like, is there some kind of symbiosis here? Because, it's pretty clear why I need you. what's not clear to me is, why do you need me? Like, is there something that you get from me as well? Why are you always with me? Not that I don't love you being here. I just genuinely want to know. And he said, he said, I am the wind to your flower. And I was like, that's lovely. That's beautiful. But I'm still not getting any kind of symbiosis here. What do you mean? Like, why is that important? And he said, because I give you movement, but you give me something to move. And I was like, okay, you just made me cry. Stop it. He just made me cry. He's such a wordsmith too. But anyhow, the next morning, or the next day, at some point the next day, a video started to play on my phone, and it was from a channel of a guy that I do watch sometimes. I'm not going to say, oh, I've never seen it before. I have, but it did start playing on its own. And it is a Christian channel, and I do listen to him sometimes. And I was just listening, and then he says, I hear Jesus saying, I am the wind to your tree. You know, okay, so he's a tree, I'm a flower, but you know, that's fine. But I was like, no, stop. I was talking about this yesterday. I can't remember, what was the name of the reading? Oh, forgiveness. Something starts with forgiveness. So go back and listen to that if it interests you. But yeah, I was talking in that about how every time these kind of synchronicities happen, to me, it's like the first time. You know, I'm like a little kid. It's like a little kid that's just seen Santa. I feel that way when these things happen. It never grows old. And that is because there's always that, I don't want to go into it because I talked about it yesterday, but that little bit of doubt that exists, like the, you know, or even sometimes, you know, have I gone completely mental? You know, was I hanging on by a thread and now the thread's just snapped? You know, these little synchronicities help you know that you're not insane yet. Yeah, it was really beautiful that he confirmed that with this guy. But what I want to say is that this guy, and I can see he's such a beautiful soul, and that's why I love listening to him. But you know, whenever he talks about Jesus, it's really serious. He's very, very serious. Just, you know, the reverence is palpable, and it is beautiful, but it's a very different tone to the tone that I experience when I talk to Jesus. And so that night, you know, I said to Jesus, I said, it's very clear to me that you're speaking to both of us, but why is your tone so different for the two of us? And he said, the good teacher does not speak to all of his students in the same way. You know, the good teacher is fair, and he will give, you know, equal amounts of his energy to his students, but he's not going to speak to them all in the same way. And also, the truth is, there are going to be some that maybe he has more fun with than others. That's true, right? Think of, you know, even experiences at school, or even myself having been a piano teacher for so many years. That's true, yeah? And then he showed me, and this is him, he's so random. He showed me an egg carton, right? A carton of eggs. It wasn't that big. That'd be the world's biggest carton of eggs. Okay, so a carton of eggs, a dozen eggs, okay? And all the eggs were sitting in their slots, sitting nicely in their slots. And then on the end of the carton, it was empty. And then he showed me an egg that rolled over sideways, and it had this really silly face on it. This ridiculous looking face on it, and it was rolled over sideways. And he sort of tried to pick it up, and then it just rolled sideways again. And he was giggling, and then he was like, that's you. So I was like, so you're telling me that I'm a silly faced sideways egg? And he was like, mm-hmm. And you know, I was like, okay, thanks, I guess. But yeah, no, I was like, look, some people might be offended by that, but I'm actually not, because I knew that he didn't mean it in a bad way. And so it's okay to be a sideways, silly faced egg. You know, you don't have to sit nicely in your container to have a beautiful relationship with Jesus. Just be what you want to be your authentic self. So I'm not telling you to try and pretend you're a silly sideways egg either if you're not, but please open your mind to the possibility that you can use different tones with Jesus, or even in your day-to-day life. You know, I'll admit, if I'm in a room full of people, obviously read the room again, but you're not going to do it you know, if I'm in a room full of nuns, am I? But you know, if I'm in a room full of people and there's a dirty joke to be made, I'll probably make it first. really. Yeah, not always politically correct. But, you know, again, I don't punch down, and I definitely don't go out there to hurt people's feelings. And I think it's pretty shit to, you know, just make fun of people's appearance, that kind of thing. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of say, I hope this inspires somebody to, you know, maybe see Jesus a little bit differently. He can be cool. You know, I see so many Christians who are kind of trapped into thinking that, you know, holiness has to be serious all the time. There is a time to be serious, but there's also a time to laugh. And Jesus is not the fun police. And I think that was pretty much all I wanted to say. You just don't censor yourself too much. Even with the spiritual community, so those people who are maybe not religious, but, you know, they say I'm spiritual, and you know these people, they're just like, you know, I never get angry, and I don't put anything bad in my body, you know, and I have to be really softly spoken because that's what spiritual people do. You know, it's a bit much. You're a human being, so it's okay, you know. Swear sometimes, you know, feel free to get angry. It's okay. He got angry too. And if you genuinely have not got angry about anything in the last year, I find that a little odd. I'm not sure I trust you. Anyway, what I was just going to finish up by saying, if I can read my writing, is yes, so Jesus isn't the fun police. And what I wanted to say is that, you know, I have loved Jesus and Archangel Michael. I have to mention him as well. So he also has a wicked sense of humor. He's really funny. He makes me laugh out loud as well. He's very cheeky. And yes, he slays demon. He does all these things, but he's so funny. And I have to say that. And you know, I have loved these guys, I'm going to say, for a long time. But it wasn't until I realized that they actually have a personality that I fell in love with them. So they have personalities just like we do, only a lot better. And that's all I want to say for today. I won't be posting tomorrow because I am spring cleaning my house and so excited about that. Is it tomorrow already? But I will see you soon. Ciao.